Howdy everyone, my name is Craig Spaeth, and today I will be going over the waggle dance connection within the sugar level of the nectar or food source. So a little introduction and background to the presentation before we get started is Apis mellifera originated in Asia and expanded out to Africa, Europe, and other areas in the Middle East. We commonly know the Apis mellifera to be called the honeybee. Although the Apis mellifera have many forms of communication, the most commonly used one is called the waggle dance. The waggle dance is used for honeybees to communicate and let other honeybees know that they have found a food source and how high of quality that food source is. For example, when a honeybee finds a strong and heavily usable nectar source, the intensity of the waggle dance gets much higher. Whereas when the source isn't as nutritious with the nectar, the intensity of the waggle dance gets a bit lower. With this being said, we're going to show you how the intensity of the waggle dance connects within the sugar concentration of their food or nectar source. So the question I'm presenting today is, how does the intensity of the waggle dance connect with the sugar concentration of the nectar source? So a little research. Foraging honeybees typically come back to the hive and perform the waggle dance to communicate to other foraging bees to show them that they have found a high quality of sugar concentration within a nectar source. Their dance when they return shows the other bees the direction and distance and where to locate the high sugar concentrated source. After the other foraging bees see the dance, they then fly by themselves to go find it as well. The duration of the dance is what communicates the sugar level of these nectar sources. The amount of waggle rounds tells bees the quality of the nectar source. Here on the right, we have a graph that shows us the amount of waggle rounds between each bee and the sugar quality of their nectar source. So you can see each line is a different bee, and it shows the dance rounds towards the quality of these honeybees. So a little more research. The intensity of the waggle dance can be divided into 5 parts of dancing to show us the profitability and sugar concentration from the nectar source. These 5 parts consist of a number of foraging trips in an hour, number of dances, number of dance circuits, dance probability, and dance intensity. All of these dance tactics play a role in the intensity of the sugar concentration within the nectar source. And you can see on the right here we have another graph that shows us the dance rounds done in relation to the quality of the sugar concentration from the nectar source. So you can see as the higher the quality the sugar index has, such as 70, they have dance rounds of 50 versus where the quality index is 20, they may have 2 or 3. So a little bit more research. The amount of time the waggle dance occurs is also in correlation to the sugar concentration found within the nectar source. If the length of time is longer that the bee does that waggle dance, then the sugar concentration is higher within the nectar source. If the length of time that the bee does the waggle dance is shorter, then it has a less sugar concentration within that nectar source. So up here on the right, that top picture shows us a picture of honeybees actually completing the waggle dance after they're coming back from their foraging. And then this graph below shows us the amount of waggle dances in correlation with the sugar concentration for each bee. So as you can see, when it's at 25, it's a bit lower as when it's at a bit 50. So this brings us to our conclusion. Overall, the intensity of the waggle dance relies on many factors, but all of these factors relate back to the sugar concentration within that nectar source. Certain aspects of the waggle dance can tell these bees how well the sugar concentration is within the nectar source that they are receiving their nutrients from. And now this leads us to the significance of the project. The waggle dance is extremely essential in the Apis mellifera to be able to determine and find good sugar concentrated nectar sources. Without bees being able to tell the intensity of other bees' waggle dances, there wouldn't be a good way for them to figure out where good sources to get their nutrients from. And here are the references I've used within my project. And I thank you guys for listening today.